So they just informed me that this thing has a mind of its own. In around 30 minutes, it'll just shut itself off. And the screen will go up. And the only way to get it restarted is if somebody's back here pushing one button, and somebody's over here pushing another button, and somebody else, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm just kidding. But they're gonna get that fixed, because I said we can't have this going on. So if it's a short or whatever, so if that happens, I'm just gonna keep on talking. I have a handout of my slides. I don't have many slides. There's about 5 or 6. I'm not gonna keep you here long and bore you, but there's some things we're gonna to discuss. So on the way over here, I was like, man, the students come back in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 26 calendar days, and I thought, how funny, I can't talk to them in the summer with school days. During the school year, it's always school days, because that's so much shorter and it sounds so much better. But in the summer, we can't say school days. So in 26 calendar days, they will be here. All 11,000, all 12,000, we don't know. Because we know many have moved in over the summer. We will get our class counts and warm body counts done that first week of school, but they'll be here in 26 calendar days. And I got to thinking, it's kind of like, you stand in that line waiting to get on that roller coaster, and you finally get through the line, and you sit down, and you're thinking to yourself, I shouldn't have done this. But that bar comes down, you're locked in. There's no turning back, there's no getting off. We're moving forward. But what happens at the end of that roller coaster ride? What do? You get off and you look at each other and you're like, wow, that was the best ever. I want to do this again. And that's what you're going to say about every school year. You just want to get on and do it again, right? So I have to keep it all in perspective, because you're on the roller coaster, the bar has already come down, there's no getting off. You should have gotten out of line a long time ago. We have a birthday in the house. I know Benjamin Bigham's birthday is today, so happy birthday to Benjamin. And I emailed out the other birthdays that are today on the 13th, so if anyone else is in here, you need to raise your hand so we can embarrass you also, if it's your birthday. And then I'll get a new list from HR, because we've had people leave and new ones come in. But happy birthday, Mr. Bigham. Now, as we sit here thinking about what's he going to talk about, what's behind slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, it's kind of like when you go, well, you're thinking about, I wonder if he's going to talk about this. And people sit through a whole session wondering, is he going to talk about this? And I pretty much know what most of you are thinking. It's kind of like when you go to that timeshare thing, all you want is, let's get to the free toaster oven. I don't want to hear about how much this costs and how many times I can come. I just want my free toaster oven. So I'm going to do this part real quickly. It's not even in a slide because it's of really no importance, but I know it's on people's mind because it has been getting back to me. And people worry about finances, okay? And I'm not going to cover it a lot because some of you have heard, because it's gotten back to me, there's a hiring freeze. Number one, there was never a hiring freeze. A hiring freeze means you hire nobody and fill nothing. These principals have been filling jobs. What we did instead was took a reset, and we needed to look at all of our vacant and open positions and decide, are those extremely essential? Do we really need that position when we have a second year with a charter school taking more staff? So really what it is responsible and efficient operation. And if you think we're the only district going through this, then you have not been watching the news. Even area districts, our neighbors, are doing the same thing. I work with the CFO on a regular basis, and we're able to give raises and incentives to keep staff here and attract staff. But we also know we're able to look within our own district and do away with some things we didn't necessarily need anyway. And sometimes in a time when a state legislature does nothing to help school finance, you do have to tighten your belt. And that's what we're doing here. No one is out of a job. No one is going to be out of a job this school year. We will look again as we get into the spring semester, because we always have people who retire and resign, some move, and we will look at, are those jobs essential to fill? I will let you know, students come first, and the CFO and I both know that. So when it comes to direct instruction and teaching, those are the most important. And then you go out from there in any school district. I'm glad we're not like another Region 4 school district that is facing, how do I cut 30 million from my budget? There is a district going through that right now. We're nowhere, nothing like that. And that's why I wanted to cover this first to get it off of your mind. Stop worrying. Just because you hear that a position within your department has been cut, doesn't mean it's coming on down, all right? And I'm not standing up here just giving you a bunch of bull. That's not how I operate. Now, if a CFO in any school district had their way, because they are accountants after all, and they like the bottom line, they would say, well, we need to do this and this and this and this and this. But Ms. Billingsley is very dedicated to staff and students, and we're able to project out over the next 2 to 3 years at how we can effectively solve problems when we still have charters opening up, taking students, which takes funding. We've done a very good job, and we'll continue to do a good job. So I don't want you worrying about it this year, because like I told you, you're already on this roller coaster. You can't get off. As we go through the school year, we'll keep you updated. But right now, we're in a very good position. So what if you lost a counselor? So what if you might have lost a clerk? We have enough people where we're going to work together, and the job will get done. It's nice to have extra. Believe me, it is. But you have to stop and think, do we really need all that extra? And there is not one department or one campus that is going to suffer this year because of the few cuts we have recently made. And again, they were vacancies, we didn't fill them, so no one is out of a position. So I don't want you focusing on that this year. But I knew you were wondering about your toaster oven, so there it is, and now we're going to move on, because finance is really it's just not. That's why it's not in the slide. But I know it was on a lot of your minds. Focus on your job, focus on what needs to be done this year. We have an exciting year coming up, and we'll keep you informed as the year goes along. We have a lot of great things coming. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. All right, I want you to take a look at this. So someone said, what is the state of the district? Well, I think this one slide will tell it all. When I first came to the district in 2013, we had about 3,300 students. But I had Matt go back to 2018 to just show you. So from 2013 to now, we've almost 4 times quadrupled. But since 2018, you can see where the growth is. And then all of a sudden you see, well, 22 ended with 357, and we just ended with 826. So the growth stopped. But I want to go back to this number right here, because in May of 22, the charter school took 1,341 students. So when we are doing our staffing, we took 11,357 and we subtracted 1,340. And what does that get you to? 10,000. So we knew we would start the school year with about 10,000. And we did. Ms. Erton ran the reports. Within that 10,000, it kept going up. What do you mean? All these kids are coming back from the charter school? They didn't like the charter school? What happened? So I called the charter school superintendent. And by the way, he and I are really good friends. We get along fine. Unlike other charter school superintendents and public school superintendents in the state, all you hear in the news is, we don't do that, I don't operate that way. His kids are our kids. Hello, they're our kids. So we talked. I called him. He said, no, I haven't. None of them have withdrawn. You know. Well, by October, about 300 of them did eventually come back to us, but that's a different story. But at the beginning, I'm like, well, if none of them are withdrawing, where are all these kids coming from? So I called the developer, Mr. Harris of Colony Ridge. He said, you want to know where they're coming from? I'll tell you where they're coming from. And he told me how many are moving in daily. Daily. And those principals, especially the ones down south, know exactly what I'm talking about. You saw homes being moved in almost daily. So we went from 10,000 this past August, and we ended with 11,826. So you can say that in that year we did grow about 1,800 to 1,900 students. But when you look at it from year to year, what we ended with each year, it almost looks stagnant. So don't think it has slowed down. It hasn't. Had it not been for the charter taking the 1,300, they would have stayed here, we still would have grown, and we would be over the 11,800. So the growth continues, and it's going to continue. The developer bases his on 150 students a month moving in for the months of September through April. And then he has told us the last few years, for May, June, July, and August, you have 200 students who move in. So that's 800. So even though the charter school is taking 830, he's already told me, he's taking 830 from this number, which puts us down at about 11,000 for August. The developer told me, you have 800 kids moving in. Now some of them may choose to go to the charter, majority will come here. So we could already be back up at 11,600 before the first day of school. But it's hard to tell because no one controls how many move in down south. Okay, that is, if anyone had a crystal ball to forecast that, they'd be a billionaire. We just have to take it with what we have and make it work. And trying to staff for that, trying to project and staff on how many students you're supposed to have, unlike other districts that remain stable, this is an extremely difficult thing to forecast. But we've done a pretty good job on it. So he's opening a second charter school in August. It's a K through 8. And this year he's added 9th grade. Because he had plans to build a whole 9 through 12 high school, but he's going to start with some 9th graders on the campuses to see how that goes. And last I heard, a high school is planned to open in August of 25. So we'll see how that works. But until then, we have to worry about Cleveland ISD and our continued growth in enrollment. Projections are by the end of next May. I've seen some numbers that say 12.8. I've seen some numbers that say 12.3. So if we start at 11.6, you know, we can easily add 1,000 students by May, which is 12.6. That's why we're going to watch it. We keep enrollment reports every month. We ask campuses on a regular basis what their current enrollment is, and Mr. Rohn in the information department keeps track of it. So we can see if that 150 a month truly is moving in as projected. But this is where we are. That's the state of the district with our enrollment. And enrollment's a good thing. I would not want to be like some of my compadres out in West Texas who are losing enrollment. And it's not a good thing. A lot of districts have lost enrollment. And the interesting thing is TEA actually projects the state of Texas over the next 10 years to drop in enrollment, of all things. We're an anomaly. And I need them to remember that. We're an anomaly. We're not dropping in enrollment here. Next slide. Total staff. So we go back to 1819, and we had 808 people total working in this district. And many of you can look around if you've been here since then. Technology is probably sitting over here looking around thinking, hey, back then it was just me and you, and now look at them. They take up almost that whole section over there. Curriculum, the same thing. When I first came here, it was Maria Silva. I think at the high school, I had a half-day instructional coach, and the other half-day, she taught social studies. Most of the campuses had no one. Curriculum was truly a one-woman department. But as the student body grew, so did the staff. And our latest count is at 2,063, the largest employer in this county. So I was talking to a vendor yesterday. They'll be here for Convocation Gulf Coast Credit Union. And she asked how many staff I had. She said, so are you at about 1,100 or 1,200? I said, no, it's 2,100. There was a silence. She's like, what? She just could not believe. Because they are based, their headquarters down in Pasadena, people still see Cleveland as that little country town. Well, word's getting out that we are becoming a big 6A powerhouse, all right? And we're just gonna keep shouting that out. It's kind of like that little secret up 59, and we're doing it the right way here. So we're at 2,063. We don't plan to grow that any this coming year. Again, when a charter takes students, we're not going to hire a bunch of teachers until we know how many we actually need. So by October 1st, after you do all your balancing and kids have come back from their summer vacation in September, I won't get into that, but a lot of them don't come until after Labor Day. And then once we have a better count, we'll know exactly where we are. Next slide. Performance. We go back to 1819 with star in all subjects, and then there was no score for 1920. Then you have a COVID year 2021, and then the year 21-22, and we're waiting to see what we will have for star performance in 22-23. Our graduation percentage, look at that. Kudos to Dr. Miller, the high school, and I can't leave out middle schools because you know what? Graduation begins long before 12th grade, but the high school has done a tremendously great job with getting the graduation rate up, and it affects your overall district performance. They're going to ding you in every way they can. And then the TA rating, C, not rated, and then B, this last rating. Regardless, we've all heard in the news what TA is doing with the scoring system and how it's not advantageous to any district. I was talking to a superintendent in June when I was at the board conference, and he was very upset because they had an A, but the what if score had them down to a C. And that is happening to a lot of districts. They are dropping 2 letter grades. So regardless of what TA says, that 66% of districts stayed the same, you know what? I told Ms. O'Connor, I said, you could have had an 89, which is a B. They could have dropped to an 80, which is a B, but they stayed the same. That's what we're going to broadcast. So keep that in mind. And all those districts that were Fs that stayed the same, they're part of that 66%. So let's tell it like it really is here. And when all that data comes out, you'll be able to see that you've got some dropping from A's to C's. But yet they say 66% stayed the same. So I don't want you to get discouraged because we all know Cleveland ISD worked tremendously hard this past year. In spite of gas leaks, in spite of power outages, in spite of flooded roads, and the rest of you are probably sitting there thinking, well, he didn't mention my problem, and he didn't mention my problem. There were a bunch, but you made it through it. You got off the roller coaster ride, and you obviously said, that was fun, let's do it again, because you're back. All right? So we will always make it through whatever adverse things are thrown our way, because that's what we do in Cleveland ISD, plain and simple. We will try very hard this year to make it better for you with eliminating gas leaks and power outages and anything else that might be thrown your way. But keep in mind, when you have a development that is growing daily, they're constantly digging, hitting lines. That's just the way it is. We're going to do our best to avoid it. Next slide. Board goals. A school board in every district in the state, they adopt goals. Some have 3, some have 5, some may have more. Cleveland ISD, the last few years, our board has focused on 3 main goals. Cleveland ISD will provide a student-centered educational environment in which students are expected to meet or exceed state standards in all areas. So it's easy to write a goal, and it's even harder to attain that goal. And that is where curriculum and instruction, they're 2 different things. The curriculum is what guides us. The instruction is what is delivered to students each and every day. And that instructional component is where most districts do struggle, especially when you have new teachers or you have IEPs. So our support system must be in place. Cleveland ISD has an amazing curriculum. And I'm not just saying that at all. And I have to use an example of an employee. They're still with us. But they were asked to interview for a job in a very large district not far from us. Districts that we always hear and think, oh wow, they're like way up there. They have rich parents and stuff. So the person went and interviewed, and it was a long interview, and they had to it was a job to do with curriculum, and they had to look at the district's curriculum. And this person came back and told me, they were like, sir, you have no idea how good of a curriculum y'all have here in Cleveland ISD. It is sequential, it's succinct, it's in order, it connects, it has the vertical alignment, and they stayed with us. So keep that in mind when you want to, or others want to knock a district. We have a lot of good things going on here. And if the curriculum is where it needs to be, then we're going to work hard to help those people who deliver the instruction. And that's those teachers in that classroom each and every day. There's just, sometimes it's one thing that's missing. And that's why instructional coaches, content specialists, principals, our new IAT liaison, Mary Giles, will be helping with them. So we can help these people do what they need to do best, which is instructional delivery. Cleveland ISD staff, ISD staff of quality professionals will implement a professional learning community that enhances individual student success. It's all about student success. And our mission and vision statement is based on that as well. So we look for quality staff and we want to retain them. And it's not just about teachers, it's everywhere, every department, from technology to maintenance to nutrition, because everybody works hand in hand to make a district successful. It certainly doesn't come from me. It comes from everyone out there in each department on each campus who are helping meet these goals. And number 3, Cleveland ISD's parents, community, and business partners will strengthen their involvement in our students' education. If you don't have parent involvement, I don't even need to tell you. And if you don't have community involvement to know how hard we work and what we do each and every day, then you're already 10 steps behind. Slide, please. All right, so the executive leadership team, which is the cabinet, we got together back before Christmas, and we have to have our own district executive leadership goals. They do not override the board goals. The board goals are incorporated within these. But I use it like federal government and state. Federal government gives you the minimum rules, but states can always add to it and make them stricter, but you got to do the minimum. Our board has set 3 succinct goals, but as a leadership team, we are there on the campuses daily, so the cabinet got together, and we came up with 5 goals that we will focus on that'll meet all 3 of the board goals and then add to it. Ensure quality instructional delivery by supporting teachers and providing needed resources. We have an excellent PD department. Dr. O'Neill takes care of the training and makes sure teachers get what they need. Attract and retain dedicated quality staff by offering competitive benefits, pay, and retention bonuses. That was a goal we had. And this past spring, the business office, myself, the board especially, they supported a raise for all of you, all right? Even though they knew we would have to tighten our belts, which we're going to do, and we're doing. But that is how you take care of number 2. Number 3, provide beneficial quality professional learning through district-led sessions in the Cleveland ISD Staff University. We're wanting our staff university to grow even more. We have so many people who say, well, how can I become a principal secretary? Or how can I become a PEAMS or a registrar? I'm a teacher's aide, but I keep being passed over because I don't have the skills. We don't want our own people saying that. We don't want our own teachers saying, I keep being passed over for an assistant principal job because they tell me I don't have the skills. Well, you have to learn them. So going through staff university and taking courses, we have actually already had some people who have been able to obtain a higher job just from the courses they've taken. So now when they interview, they can say, I know about eSchool, I know about spreadsheets, I know about Excel, and we're going to continue to do this. There are many people who are happy in their place in life and in their position, but we have assistant principals who want to be principals. They want to. We have principals who want to be executive directors, assistant supers, maybe even a superintendent one day. So what better than to train the people within our district to take those positions? Instead of having outsiders come in, because y'all know the Cleveland way. Number 4, strengthen communications with parents, businesses, staff, and students. We know about that. And number 5, increase financial efficiency to maximize effective use of district funds. And since it was our goal, we are meeting our goal and responding to our goal. Next slide. Expectations of everyone in this district. Learning environments will be engaging. This will be shared with all of the staff as we begin the new year. So you don't have to take pictures. I will be getting this out to everyone. CMS, boy, they're over there snapping, but they are ready. They're like, sir, we're on it. We're starting this yesterday. I'm glad to see that, but I will get this to you. Intentional focus on safety and security, developing meaningful, effective, thought-provoking assessments. I want you to think about that. Because one thing I hear in this district is we test kids all the time. Every time you turn around, there's a test. Well, a lot of it's required from the state. A lot of it is local, our CBAs. But how do you know how students are doing unless you're assessing them? And you can assess them all day long, every day, every week. But if the assessment isn't a good assessment, you have wasted your time and their time. So our assessment department, Ms. O'Connor, will work with the curriculum department and principals, instructional coaches, because this is an expectation I am putting forth this year. Because I don't want to hear that our assessments are not really doing what they need to be doing. It is going to be a focus. And I want people to have input and to speak up. If we don't get to that point, and I'm not saying the ones we haven't had aren't, but we're just going to make sure they are thought-provoking and effective. Provide a technology-rich learning environment to challenge learners. We have our technology department over here, and we have Ms. Barber with our instructional technology. I always use the wrong title for her, always. Digital learning. Is she here? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I mean, her whole department's here. Look, they're all down here. She knows for the last 3 years she's been here, I've always called her something else. But she's Miss Barber, and she takes care of all the technology learning, digital learning. I will get it right one day, all right, Miss Barber? But she will be very instrumental involved in that, along with technology, to get our students ready for the future and to be productive and to go out into society with skills. Technology-rich learning environments even challenge your superintendent, as you saw, with things shutting off and screens going up, and I don't know how to fix them. So I have to depend on, you are joking me, you're kidding. That is just unbelievable, right as I said it. So I'm gonna keep talking. I have my paper. Wow, I guess I jinxed it. All right, we were on technology rich. The next one said recruit, hire, and retain quality staff. That is what you do each and every day. And how do you retain quality staff? There's a lot of studies out there that say you can throw all the money you want at people, but if they're not happy, if they don't feel like they're a part of the solution, they're not a part of the family, they're leaving. And they will leave and go work for less money. Money's nice, don't get me wrong, but money can only keep you happy for so long. So if we're gonna focus on retaining people, you want that family component. And I go back to the psychology of family. It's very hard to leave a family, okay? Once you're connected and you're together, you don't wanna leave a family. I've asked principals to focus on building family. Seriously. Emotions. Get that family component and unit built, and people will be less likely to leave. And they're going to continue to work on that. It's so vital to take care of the people who work with you and that you work with, and they're less likely to leave. Because that's like divorcing a family member. We just don't do that. I mean, it's difficult to leave. I remember leaving my last district where I was for 10 years. Even though I was excited to come to Cleveland, it was very hard on me once it set in, because that's your family. Respond effectively and efficiently to the continued rapid growth. And that's what we've been doing. I didn't get one complaint of one teacher who said another student walked into their room, they're now up to 33, and that teacher said, out. I cannot take one more student. The teacher didn't pick up their car keys, tell the principal I'm out. We responded effectively and efficiently and correctly, taking care of those students, because that's the way it's going to be for the next few years. So make sure you support your staff in that, because those of you who were in classrooms and you might have taught in a district where you had 35 kids in a classroom, 36 kids in a classroom. Back in the 90s, I'll tell you right now, back in the 90s in Pasadena ISD at the middle schools, that was the norm for us. For me to have 38 kids in my ELA classroom, that was normal. I didn't even complain about it. Everybody did. But it's hard on teachers. It's difficult. So be there for them to support them. Respond effectively to rapid growth. Strengthen community engagement and partnerships on every campus. And a lot of you are doing a great job with that. Bringing in your community business partners to be on your CIP teams, your campus teams, events that you have. Keep up the great work. Because once you get parents on your side, they're going to be there to help see you through this roller coaster ride. Well-being and social, emotional needs of all students and staff will be a top priority. This is key, absolute key. The well-being of each other and taking care of each other. Somebody talked earlier about a student mentor program. Maybe it'll help with the attendance issues. That's very true. We've had advisory programs in the past where all students went to an advisory. They didn't have that teacher during the day, but that adult was their connection. And they would ask them, hey, how was that biology test you took last week? Or how's that, you have horses. I know you have horses, you talked about them, and you told me one of them had a bandage on its leg. How's that coming? You're making a connection with a student. We do that with staff too. About 2 years ago, we had a teacher at CMS. I don't even know if Ms. Castillo was here yet. But it was during COVID, and we got concerned about the teacher. And it was like nobody's heard from her. She only talks to a few coworkers. And we did. We sent our police officers over, and Chief Allen knows what I'm about to say. Unfortunately, the teacher had succumbed to COVID, probably a few days before. Nobody knew. I think there was a little dog in there with 3 little dogs. So let's make connections with our coworkers too, because that's part of the social emotional well-being. Get to know them and take care of each other. Next slide. Outcomes. These are the expected outcomes in Cleveland ISD. Each student will discover his or her academic and social potential. Each student will realize their own self-efficacy. Each CISD graduate will be academically and socially prepared for society. Each CISD staff member will realize their contribution to the success of the district. And CISD will exemplify excellence in education and be the leader in academic innovation and design. And don't think that we're not. We are the leader. We're already the leader in many areas. And being a superintendent, most of us are very competitive. I'm just going to tell you. And I've always been competitive, even when I was a teacher. And I'm going to brag on our district. We started buying drones back in 2019 through the Gear Up grant. We had a teacher at CMS who used the drones in an after-school program, and he mentioned we can get these students certified in drones. That's awesome. At the time, we didn't hear about these jobs at Amazon that would pay $200,000 to be a drone operator, okay? We just wanted students to have drone certification. Well, one of those students graduated this past May He was at the chamber luncheon this past Thursday. He owns his own company. It's called JLI or JL Drones. And I talked to him after the luncheon and he said, "Sir, I'm so busy. I'm already booked in Columbus. Then I got to go up to Bryan College Station. I've got some work here, I've got some work there." The number of businesses and people and subdivisions and neighborhoods needing drone aerial photography is unbelievable. He can't keep up. He's 18 years old, probably already making more money than all of us. And he has plenty of work booked. And he got his drone certification at Cleveland ISD. There's another large district, and I'll just say it because it's all in the news. I see it in the morning in the paper. Tomball ISD is so excited. They're bragging that just this coming year, they're starting drone certification for students. And I just sit there like, we've been doing that for 2 years. So don't underestimate the great things going on in this district. We are providing the students a way of life, a career, hope for them, not only in drones and our culinary and all of our CTE programs, and we're starting the new Tango Flight Build an Airplane program. Now I heard about that about a year and a half ago. It was in the news, and I thought that's amazing, for students to do that. It's not just for fun. These students will have hands-on build a Cessna airplane, and I guarantee you that some of them are going to go on and probably work at Hobby or Intercontinental, being airplane mechanics. Some may go work at Boeing, who knows. Some may decide to be a flight steward or stewardess or a pilot, because they're going to get a chance to mess with an airplane, and they're going to get interested in aeronautics. And had we not done that and opened up that door for them, then they may not have gone in that career. Cleveland ISD is doing amazing things for our students in the community. And you need to brag on yourself. So wherever you live, when you drive back home to Spring, or Aldine, or Houston, or Conroe, or some of you live in Dayton, I don't care where you live. When you're in the grocery store, just walk through the store yelling, "Cleveland ISD has been doing drone certification for 2 years. We have students." Brag on yourself. If you don't do it, who is? I certainly do. My entire family, I have 9 siblings. None of them are in education, and they're so sick of hearing me. But you know what? They know I love my job, and I love what I do. And I believe in our students and in what's going on out here. So brag on yourself, because if you don't, I'm telling you, who will? Excellent things going on out here in this district. I'm glad you're all here with us. It's going to continue to get better, and that's why I did this finance talk at the beginning, because as you can see, it's nothing compared to everything else. The finance part is a little bitty speck of sand in everything that's going on, and the CFO and I are going to take care of it. Just don't worry about that. We'll keep you informed along the way. Focus on all the good stuff. Next slide. Well, Matt didn't put on there, if you have any questions, ask, so meeting over. No, I'm just kidding. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anybody? Wow, I guess I answered everything. Well, I am glad you're all here. We're looking forward to a great year. The principals are working very hard to get their campuses ready and to fill jobs. I've been told by HR that so many jobs, more jobs are filled this year at this time of year than last year. It's unbelievable. So all of the marketing that was done with HR and with principals, you tweeting out, I see your little things you put on Twitter from your campus. SFM is hiring, SFE is hiring, and y'all have these neat little graphics. CMS, CHS, all of you, Pineburg, every campus, north side, south side, you're all tweeting out this stuff. And then one teacher out there looks at all of them, and they're like, wow, there's 6 elementaries I can go work at. They all pay the same. They all have the same sign-on bonus. They all have this. But from the look at your graphics, I think you are trying to outdo each other on graphics. Because you know the old saying, if you want a company to see your resume, mail it in a different color envelope, do something different. So it's nice to see these principals being so competitive and trying to get the word out. And I just sit in my office. I only have Twitter, I don't do Facebook. But I'm so proud and I smile to see all of our staff going above and beyond to get people to come work at Cleveland ISD. Well, it's working. It is absolutely working. Because some of you only have 1 or 2 jobs to fill. Some of you may be done, I'm not sure. All I know is we are in a very, very, very good place when it comes to staffing our campuses. So again, thank you all so much for being here. If you don't have any questions, concerns, you can see me afterwards too. Y'all are free to go home. You don't even have to stay until 5 o'clock. So tell your friends when they come to the meeting. Yeah, y'all start your weekend, have a great weekend, and thank y'all again for being here.